Blue Justice 16 took place this past week, and New Japan's past was on full display, along with a strong reminder of why that past should remain the past. We'll look at that show and review a weird preview, a weird pay-per-view, and more on the road to destruction in Kobe. With Jeremy Finestone, I'm Steven Conway. This is Speaking of Strong Style. Well, I tripped over that intro, didn't I? Welcome to Speaking of Strong Style, where we discuss the news, issues, and events surrounding New Japan Pro Wrestling. I'd like another chance at that. So here we go. We will look at that show and preview a weird pay-per-view and more of the road to destruction in Kobe. There you go. That's what we're going to be doing. Hi, Colin. I'm glad you're here. Jeremy, I'm glad you're here, of course.
Hello.
How was your week?
All right. Pretty uneventful, except I got some tickets to a show, so that was pretty cool.
Oh yeah,
we can go into that. We can go into that in a minute or two, but I'm burying the lead. Yeah, it's been a weird week in been a weird week in the world, and I was trying to keep my head above water. It was my dad's birthday today. He's passed away for a few years, and for whatever reason, that one kind of, it's been a weird day. So, figured that out a little while ago, and as I share my therapy with the rest of you, I am ready to go and talk about a very uneventful week in New Japan. I feel like my personal New Japan news is more eventful than what we watched, which is I got my tickets to Wrestle Kingdom, Steven.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Yeah. You got your Wrestle Kingdom tickets. So, where are you sitting in the 4th through 7th rows?
I am indeed. The tickets went on sale at you're doing that refresh thing, and the tickets go on sale 30 seconds before the actual on sale.
Sure,
bro. Those tickets were done and purchased before 7 o'clock hit on my screen.
Wow, really?
So
really?
I was very aggressive. My friend Miguel and I are both going to go, and we're going to see a friend of the show, Lisa Gifford, and her partner Jake, who Jake actually has done video game work with Kenny Omega in the past. So they are both people who know people within the business, and I enjoy the heck out of those two. So I'm looking forward to seeing them and going to Japan. And honestly, that was the most exciting thing in New Japan this week.
Yeah. Are you going by yourself?
I am going to fly out by myself unless we coordinate. I haven't bought my plane ticket yet. I haven't bought my plane ticket. I haven't bought my hotel ticket, but I've got the tickets to the show, which to me is I'd rather make sure I have tickets to the show before I commit to anything else. And so I'm there, and I was looking at the ticket prices, and it's not too bad. I think I'm probably gonna have to forego the lay down option. It's a little too rich for my blood, but 14 hours in a chair is fine. We'll get through that. And
if you do premium economy, which is more expensive than coach and things, you do get more leg room and you get a wider seat, and it is more comfortable. There's no such thing as a comfortable flight in for 14 hours in an airplane, but depending on the airline, the service is a little bit better up there. So that might be a thing. It might be worth it for that, as long as you're going to be sitting in that metal tube to get a little bit of it.
I learned my lesson probably about 13 or 14 years ago when I flew to Australia. And I did the bargain flight for 17 hours. And I was there was 4 seats on the outside of the aisle, 9 seats on the middle of the aisle, and then 4 seats on the middle. I was in the dead center, bro. And I was stuck, and I could not sleep. And I have learned my lesson that, you will pay for a little bit of extra luxury, but, you have to find your threshold. Those 14-hour flights, anything past 8 hours, you're good, your ass is gonna hurt, kind of thing.
When we flew to Japan the first time in 2019, we were in that section, and it was nice, and we had our space and things. But there was a guy that was in the middle section. So in premium economy, there it's a 2-4-2 configuration with the aisles. Okay, so in the middle is about 4, maybe 5, might be 2-5-2. Point being, there's a guy sitting in that middle section in there. And he was sort of 2 hour left, up in front a little bit, but 2 hour left, within our eye shot of 2 hour left. And
in the periphery.
We were trying to get some rest, which is difficult on a plane, like you mentioned. And for whatever reason, I don't know if this guy was a nervous flyer. I don't know if this was something he didn't even realize he was doing, but he had a plastic water bottle in his hand that was empty. It was empty.
Oh, God. I know where this is going.
And he was sitting in that chair with his earphones on, watching movies and TV,
completely
but just
unaware,
crinkling the bottle and letting
war
it go.
Crime. Absolute war crime.
We were trying to figure out a way to get, and then there was one glorious moment, Jeremy. We were trying to figure out a way to get this guy's attention, but he was engrossed in his film. He wasn't paying attention. And we couldn't get, and this is the time when the flight attendants are taking their break because they go away for a few hours between the meal services and stuff like that, because it's a 14-hour flight. They're not on duty the entire time. They need breaks. And no one was around. We couldn't get this guy's attention for anything. And it was just driving us crazy. And in one glorious moment, he dropped the bottle and it rolled away from him.
Hell yes.
And we were like, oh, thank goodness. This guy takes his headphones off.
No.
Just around under the seat in front of him and locates his little bottle right there. And I like
comfort bottle?
Yeah, I guess so.
It's an emotional support bottle.
I am thinking about, and I have thought about since, carrying stress balls with me on flight so I could toss it to anybody who starts doing that next time. Like, here, I brought it. You can do this with crinkling the bottle.
The whole idea of flying like long term is there are cardinal sins on plane flights. And to me, like, foot odor is the worst. Like, in my mind, if I'm going on a long flight, I even bring an extra pair of socks just so that I like can change into a fresh pair of socks like 8 hours into the flight. Like, you're musty when you get off of those flights. Like, most people should bring a change of clothes like with them on their like carry-on on a long flight, because you don't realize how ripe we all are on like a 14 or 17 hour flight. And it's just like the deodorant, the toothpaste, like an extra pair of socks. If you need to go harder, like, but that's why you wear sweatpants. You know what I mean? Like, you wear sweatpants and a shirt. Like, you get all set up for this. Like, I've done these long flights, and you can tell when it's somebody like first time. You know what I mean? Like, you know when somebody doesn't know how to like settle in. I have the problem with like I cannot sleep on a flight. So those long ass flights, I need to figure it out. Like, I need to figure it out before I get on this flight how I'm going to do it, because I've gone that length of time, but I don't have the time to catch the sleep in Japan when I go. Like, there's no, let me just relax for a little bit. Like, I don't think that's going to work like that when I'm there.
All right. Well, I want to say that I hope you do well, and I hope you find a way. I have a hard time staying awake on planes, so I'm lucky in that sense. But I don't sleep. I don't sleep well, and I don't sleep deeply. It's just like, I have the gray noise, I think, and the vibration.
The time passes. Like, it's a time passer for me. Like, if I can get sleep and just like kill 4 hours on a flight like that, that to me is just like, it's gold currency. Like, I just want to get to the destination. Like, I'm the kind of person that like looks at the flight map in front of me and sees, are we like making a little extra time? Like, I just want to get to where I'm going.
The good news
I don't know why. Like, it's a flight.
Regardless of which flight you take, they will have entertainment in the seat in front of you, a screen with TVs and all that. And the good news is
2025. If it's flight to Japan, you are not going to be lacking.
They mostly pick pretty good Japanese movies, and I recommend just because you're not going to see them any other time, really. It's like in the States, they don't really air on HBO Max or Netflix or anything like that. But go ahead and watch some Japanese movies. Most of the ones they put on there are the good ones. They put the good ones on those. So I've enjoyed most of the ones I've watched.
I was actually banking on stockpiling some shows that I like look forward to seeing, because when there's like a moment in time where wrestling just kind of slows down, I end up just binging a bunch of shows at once. Yeah. And right now, I think one of the shows that I'm going to save for the flight to Japan is the latest season of Star Trek: Strange New Worlds, because I absolutely love that show. Kind of. And then probably bring my Switch, play some video games, and then sleeping, and I think I'm good to go. But there's definitely going to be some exploration of the Japanese culture on the screen in front of me, because the whole thing is to immerse myself a bit in what I'm about to get into.
Okay, good. Well, yeah, and I think you're going to really enjoy all of it. So I want to say hello to Colin. Brad is here. Brad,
Hi,
we're glad you're with
Colin.
you. USVA guy, Esteban's with us. So is Maria. So is Fernando. And most importantly, we have the day of the day from Zach
I'm
Minger.
waiting
He
for
always
it.
lets us know.
I'm sure 9/11 is going to have the greatest one of all.
Well, you know what? It has a pretty decent one. It's National Pizza Day.
Okay.
Yeah, National Pizza Day.
Not good cross leader.
And USVA guy has it right. Esteban's correct. Fly JAL. It's been my favorite thus far that I've
JAL.
flown.
Okay.
Japan Airlines. Yeah. They feature.
No, there were three of them I was looking at. So if JAL is the call, that's what I'll go with.
I enjoyed it. It was my favorite. I've taken American Airlines and JAL over there, and that's the ones I've liked a lot. So.
Gosh, it's really good that I have a podcast about Japanese pro wrestling to get the best information on this.
Yeah, it says they actually have New Japan matches in their entertainment on JAL now. That wasn't true when I was in May. When I was over there,
start them on there too.
I'll have to ask him.
No,
they didn't have any of it. They didn't have any of it when I was there. Let's see. National Pizza Day. Yeah. So Zach, glad you're with us and letting us know that. It's always good. So for me, I finished Chris Charlton's book, Eggshells, about wrestling in the Tokyo Dome this week. Finished that one up. And I've read both of Chris's books now, Lion's Pride, which is a non-chronological history of New Japan. And it's not a narrative history. It's more like, here are 10 of the most, this chapter is 10 of the most influential people in New Japan history. Another chapter is, here are some of the most influential dates in the company history and things. So it's not a narrative history in that sense. So I like Eggshells a little bit more than I like Lion's Pride right there. But Lion's Pride is very good introduction to New Japan. It's for people who are new to it, don't know the history, haven't seen a lot of it yet. So it's good for that. It's a good starting point. It's an entry point for that. Eggshell is a little more detail, and it's not New Japan centric. Any pro wrestling show that was in the Dome gets a chapter in Eggshells. So USVA guy says that's in their TV section. So look in the TV section there. And the next thing, the next wrestling book, I've got a pile of them. I'm excited about this though. Brian Solomon, who wrote Blood and Fire, about the original Sheik, right. Japanese and American wrestling legend, the biggest drawing heel of all time, probably. We were might be Wild Bill Longson, but certainly the Sheik, one of the biggest drawing heels of all time, the original Sheik, Ed Farhat, and he wrote a fantastic biography of the Sheik a few years ago and brought to light a lot of new information that was unknown before. Not a lot known about Farhat, but he really got in there and did his research. And he has one coming out about Gorilla Monsoon at the around in time for Christmas. And Gorilla, one of the most influential behind the scenes guys that you don't realize is influential. He owned part of the WWF. Like Vince McMahon had to buy Gorilla out in order to do what he did and work with him. And there's a lot of interesting dynamics around them. He was a big star in Japan, the JWA era. His career was wrapping up by the time New Japan and All Japan had split off. But in that company that both Baba and Inoki worked for, JWA in the 60s, Gorilla was a star. 400 some pounds, could jump up in the air and touch his toes and land back on his feet. He was a very agile man, an excellent amateur wrestler as well. And, a lot of people know him as the announcer who was going back and forth with Bobby Heenan and Jesse Ventura, but a very, very big star in pro wrestling, both in Japan and in the United States. Very influential, and Puerto Rico too. Very important guy behind the scenes. And I'm really looking forward to seeing what Brian does with that biography. So I'm pretty excited. And Colin, I did not miss it. We haven't started talking about current wrestling yet. I didn't miss it, Colin.
Yeah, we have one more bit of housekeeping before we launch into these things.
And the answer is yes. I did see Hiromu versus Yohei at Noah. I did see that match. And we'll talk about it when we get to that.
I did not. We talked about what we did last week. We also have to talk about next week because we have a collaborator on the Fight Game Media Network, and he has done a ton of work and worked his ass off to just create a name for himself. You all know him. His name is Scotty Wrestling. Well, he's got a show that drops on the audio network for the Fight Game Media that he's been doing continuously for the last few years. The 5-Star Joshi show that drops on Friday morning. Well, he's no longer going to be a part of the rotation here at Fight Game Media. And if you want to follow what Scott E Wrestling is doing and how he's going to be doing it, please jump on his YouTube page, which is labeled just Scott E Wrestling. I'm going to make sure I have a banner here for that real quick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and Scott, he's going to be moving away from doing the 5-Star Joshi show, unfortunately, on the podcast feed. But you can still catch Scott E Wrestling on his YouTube channel. He'll be giving his thoughts, opinions, and analysis of Joshi Pro Wrestling. And for my money, Jeremy, I don't think there's anybody better. And I've looked around for a while.
God, he's
Scott,
so good at what
I think
he does.
Scott is the very best at analyzing the women's wrestling scene in Japan. So
yeah,
there you go.
Like I've sent him the message privately, but I just want to see this guy succeed. Like I think the world of him, and whatever he chooses to do next, and how he chooses to put the work out. I just think the time commitment to the podcast every Friday was an issue. Not covering the subject wasn't the issue. I think he's still going to be providing content in a variety of different ways. It was just being able to dedicate that resource on that certain day to make sure that he had a deliverable on the Friday morning just wasn't working out. And so we're all just rooting for him to, have an opportunity set for him. And so big shout out to him. Love him. Want nothing but this for him. With that
Brad
said,
Brad mentions I'm going to miss him on the network, but I'm happy he's going to be making content. I love his stuff. He's helped shape my Joshi fandom the past couple of years. And I think that's true for a lot of people.
Yeah. Strong, good-hearted individual. I like to see those people thrive. Authentic. I think the word I would use for him is he is a very authentic individual. And it's hard.
What does that mean for us?
It's hard to find that, like when you're looking for people. So as a result, that leaves an audio gap in the Fight Game Media podcasting network. And Garrett asked that we take that spot in. So we will be now the Friday slot of the Fight Game Media Network audio alongside the rap, the Dynamite show, and the content that Garrett was dropping throughout the week, like the takedown.
Yeah.
So it's an exciting move for us. If you have an audio feed and you were listening to us through the Strong Style podcast, don't worry, still going to be there.
Yeah. We're not removing the Speaking of Strong Style dedicated feed. So if you get your Speaking of Strong Style that way, that's going to continue. You have to do nothing. It'll continue on just like normal.
And the reason we're doing it is because we're going to continue recording Thursdays, 5:30 p.m. Eastern, 2:30 p.m. Pacific every week without fail. So it just made sense. And, I am proud of the work that we do on this show, Steven. And I am appreciative to Garrett for giving us the opportunity for a wider audience. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to just a fun new chapter in which our exposure is just a little bit bigger.
Yeah. And like I said, however you get our show now, you can continue to get it that way. Nothing is going away. It's just being added to. So
an additional option.
All right. So the only other thing I did this week was I registered for FIFA World Cup tickets, Jeremy. That's the other thing. So the World Cup is coming to the United States, Mexico, and Canada next year. And there's the lottery started for the tickets right there. And I'm going to try to get tickets. I got into the lottery. They're coming to Dallas and Houston. They were going to be playing in the NFL stadiums down here. And so that was the other big thing. My fingers are crossed. So we'll see if I get those tickets.
I'm very curious to see how much demand there will be from the international crowd to go to FIFA games.
If the website is any indication, pretty heavy because the traffic was big and there were a lot of delays and wait times on that. But I got through. And the other thing we do need to mention, and Colin mentioned this, I had it down a little bit further in the show, but we'll just mention it right now. But Taishin Nagao, who is a really good up-and-coming wrestler for New Japan that I saw wrestle in May when I was over there and caught a day of the Champion Carnival tournament. He was essentially, they don't have a Young Lions specifically, but he was a young wrestler for All Japan, was doing all those things like working in the opening match and setting up the ring beforehand and being a ring attendant the rest of the show and all that. At the very end of May, he was struck by a tour bus outside of a venue. And unfortunately, Taishin passed away this past week. And it's tough because he was really showing, it's tough no matter what, whether he was showing spark or not, but it would have been very, very sad. But it was a guy that you thought, oh boy, they've got something with this kid. And unfortunately, only a couple of weeks after I saw him right there, he was in a pretty serious accident where hit by a bus and survived for a while. But apparently the internal injuries involved were too much for his body to handle. He ended up passing away this past week. So sad days for All Japan. Our thoughts are with his family and friends and everybody associated with All Japan, who seem pretty, who were all pretty wrapped up, broken up about it. And just a talented kid that unfortunately it just in an accident and was unable to recover. So sad days for All Japan Pro Wrestling.
So I knew next to nothing about any of this until I read the report about it. And this is part of where like me hyper fixating on New Japan kind of gets me into trouble, is that I kind of have a little bit of a block to everything else that goes on in the rest of, like, I try and pay attention, but it's like I'm not actively paying attention to who's like the champions and the main events of going on in all these other promotions. I knew nothing about this kid, but it's awful, right? Like an accident like that, like it traumatizes like everybody. And like I've heard from people that like knew him that they're all just totally messed up about it. And just like, I just hate people going before it's their time.
Well, certainly. And, he was hit at the end of May and survived a really long time. I was under the impression that he had been hurt badly. We knew that. I did not realize the injuries were life-threatening. Apparently, it's pretty impressive from a medical standpoint that he made it as long as he did. And it might have had as much to do with his athleticism and how good a shape he was in physically that he was able to survive as long as he did. But I did not realize the injuries were that bad. I thought he was recovering. Maybe he had some broken bones that he needed to heal or something like that. But apparently, it was much worse than that. And, so yeah, sad days. I just remember the guy seeing it and turning to ginger and just said, "That kid's not bad at all." It's all one of my favorite things in wrestling is seeing the young lions or the young talent in stardom that are working those opening matches, like what MA is and a few others, and watching them grow into bigger and bigger stars. To me, that's very satisfying to watch that journey. And I thought I was about to see one with him, but unfortunately, yeah. So that, like you said, people broken up about it, and we hope for that his family and everybody else just nothing but the best for him. Hope that they can support each other and work their way through this sad day.
Hey, if you feel like giving after the show, everybody, if there are people out there that like you think about in the last couple of days, do you want to give a moment of silence to? Just go ahead and do it for yourself, for other people. It's been tough out there the last couple.
Yeah.
So just take care of yourself. If people you care about have been affected by just senselessness, things that you don't understand, just take some time to yourself, take that moment, but just make sure that you're treating yourself okay.
Blue Justice took place this past Sunday at Chiba, and this was a building that was at 1,500 capacity, Jeremy. That's actually almost 200 better than last June's Blue Justice 14. He does these every few months. They aren't annual specifically. Right. And last year's in June at the Tagane Arena drew about 1,300 or so. And that was when Nagata teamed with Jun Akiyama. And but this one did well. You got to say that he does a good job promoting his own shows in Chiba. These things draw good crowds, and people are genuinely happy to see him. So Yuji Nagata, pretty decent promoter when he's in his hometown. He knows how to get the people out.
I knew that guy was a showman when he co-opted the Jordan The Last Dance iconography for the t-shirt for the show.
Yeah. He's pretty smart.
I was like, really? The Last Dance? Fine, let's do it.
All right. So anyway, this was a show that was a lot of preview tags and a main event that we're going to get into here. But it opened up with Masatori Yasuda and Zane J facing Tetsuya Matsumoto and Tiger Mask. And the surprise here was Yasuda getting the win on Matsumoto here. Of course, Matsumoto is one of the newest young lions, along with Zane J. But a main roster guy in Tiger Mask on the losing side of this one, although he wasn't involved in the fall. But it doesn't happen often when you have two young lions against a young lion and a main roster guy. It's not often the main roster guy is on the losing end. This was Zane J's first win as a New Japan young lion, first victory. Plenty of draws, of course. He's been doing those with Matsumoto. And then he's taken the losses like every young lion does with his first win. Handshakes after, it was all very friendly and things. But Masatori Yasuda starting to move up a notch and get the wins over the younger of the young lions.
Do we think this is news or noise?
It's noise. I mean, it's a trivia note that it's Zane J's first victory as a young lion and things. It's just unusual. It's not unheard of. But when there's a main roster guy in against two young lions, they don't usually lose. They just don't usually, but
maybe some of the subtext that Tiger Mask isn't what he once was, and so like that team wasn't as strong as it could. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know.
I don't think it's subtext.
They laid it in pretty thick about with right in the beginning of the show with Yuji Nagata coming out and giving him the flowers and making sure everyone knew that it was his last time wrestling for this event because he'll be retired next year. And it was what they could do because he was clearly not going to be the focus of later on in the night, even though he had just the same scenario. So it was nice for Tiger Mask, and like it was just nice. The whole show was just nice.
After that, we had a 6-man tag. This was Dick Togo, Don Fale, and Evil against Katsuya Murashima, Oleg Boltin, and Shoma Kato. And what we had here was a tease of Bolton and Fale, mostly. That's why this match pretty much existed. Evil got the Darkness Scorpion on Kato to win it. Nothing much to talk about in this one, but it was a tease once again where Bolton is probably going to attempt to do power moves on Fale throughout the Road 2 tour before he actually accomplishes a couple of those at Destruction in Kobe, I would imagine. So they're teasing the suplex. They're teasing the kamikaze on him. If he can do the kamikaze on Fale, I'd be awesome. Very impressed. That would be awesome.
That's a video clip right there that should go.
Yeah, that would be. So, hey, but other than that, nothing to speak of.
God, I blithely threw on at the end of my preview thing going on last week. Yeah, the whole thing is just going to be whether like Bolton Oleg is going to like be able to power slam this dude or not. And he's not going to be able to do it and not going to be able to do it. And I just watch Magic like, yeah, all right. This is what they're doing. I was just like, that was basically my entire preview of the match. Like, they're going to try and do the Bolton Oleg like lifting Fale tees. That's all this is. This is Andre and Hogan.
All right. After that, we had War Dogs, Clark Connors back on tour with Oscar and Yuto Ice, the Knockout Brothers. They faced Taichi, Taka Michinoku, and Tomoaki Honma. Now, the Knockout Brothers won with the move where they have where Oscar has the man up for a tombstone pile driver, and Yuto Ice comes, just kicks him in the back of the head. Then it goes right into the tombstone. So they're calling that move the KOB. That's just so the team name and the finishing move is KOB, which is efficient. I got to admit. So the team name and the move KOB. Connors had the tire out. That got a pop. He's actually carrying that tire around with him. You got to give him credit. He's it's cumbersome to carry one of those things around, but he's doing it. He's
it might actually be from the tour bus, and he's just pulling it from the tour bus.
That doesn't look like a tour bus tire. That looks a little too small, but I hope it's not a tour bus tire, but maybe it is. Who knows?
It's possible they have like little tires on the undercarriage.
Could be. Yeah, maybe it is. Oscar is definitely stronger than he used to be. He's bulked up a little bit. Yuto Ice looks a lot like the Shinya Hashimoto or Goto when he first went heavyweight, where he's not cut, he's not ripped, but he's clearly strong. He's got the barrel chest and the bulk. Yeah, we'll see.
He's got that glare from the top of his eyes where he's just doing this the whole time.
Yes, he's doing that.
I am here for it.
It's going to take a little time to dial in all this stuff. It's going to take a little time to get the character right and the volume right and all that. And they're working on it. And this was held back. They certainly didn't do everything. I'd imagine they're going to bring it all out for the
There
tag
was a lot
team
of
match.
brawling. It really was.
And they were calling for Ishii. Ishii's joining the tour tomorrow at the Shinichi Champion show. He wasn't on this one though, still in his AEW dates, but they were calling out Ishii, so we will be seeing that soon. And go ahead and give your thoughts on this if you have any more, and then I have some tag team facts for you that I found very interesting.
So when I was watching this match, I thought the most interesting thing was that Oscar, I don't mean any shade toward this other individual when I say this, but Oscar looked like where Hikuleo would have been if he had continued his training with New Japan up to this point. Like, Oscar reminded me of that big man Hikuleo like style, like running around a little bit cumbersome, but he was moving better and he was just a better wrestler in that position. And so I am looking at it and I am like, Hikuleo's where he should be now, clearly. He's got a great gig doing very little and getting paid a lot. So God bless him for that. But Oscar feels like he's the right big man for this era of New Japan. I feel like more than anyone else lately, this KOB might be the herald of like the new era of New Japan because they're completely different than everybody else right now. Like they have that, I don't want to say edgelord, but outsider unpredictability quality that even though you know they're New Japan through and through and they're portraying it, it's like they're just so new and so fresh among what's essentially a very stale roster that like I'm looking at it as if like maybe they're the beginning of this next era.
We keep waiting for it. I sometimes I wonder if we're waiting for a bus that ain't coming. But Brad mentions here, Yuto Ice goes hard. He's got his character work well. He's certainly trying hard. Yeah, he's really dialing up the personality. And he also says, Brad does, if Geto fails at belting KOB up, I'd be at a loss for words. Have some information about that. And he also mentioned that he's not looking forward to the Fale match, but the feats of strength from Oleg will be awesome. Yeah, and several matches from the top, that's probably about the right spot for a Fale Oleg match. Several spots from the top, some feats of strength in the middle of the card might be the exact right spot for what this is, right? We're not, no show is hinging on this match, thankfully. And then also Brad mentions this. It was funny how Chris made up a story for their friendship, that Oscar and Yuto became friends fighting in the underground fights. That's where they grew their pod. No, of course they were in the dojo together. And
Chris was on one for this entire show, just throwing out stuff left and right.
Oscar also went to the Fale dojo in New Zealand, so that he was there for a little while as well. I don't know if Yuto was, maybe he was. Some of the guys did go over there for that, but Oscar was in New Zealand working at the Fale dojo. So they have had history together. And I remember seeing things like Yuto's social media. He and Oscar hung out socially as young lions. So they would show the two of them out to dinner, or I just remember one of them, Oscar, like being out on the street and replicating a sign. There was a sign for a restaurant that had a character doing something particularly weird, and Oscar was kind of mimicking the sign. You know, they were hanging out and just kind of being buddies outside of wrestling. So this has been going on a while. These two are tight. So in real life too.
Like I saw the way that they were carrying themselves as young blood, and this definitely feels like a hard right escalation for what they were doing in Europe. So maybe I wasn't paying that much attention, but I was excited to see them. I was a little surprised at the Knockout Brothers, but I feel like it's coming very naturally to them both right now.
So Brad mentioned that he thinks that Geto should put the belts on him.
Yeah.
Now let's put up a couple of tag team facts that backs up Brad's theory here. Do you know the last team to successfully defend the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles? The last time champions went into the match, were challenged, and won.
Was it before World Tag League last year?
Yes, it was. It was before this date last year.
Was it United Empire?
It was TMDK, Mikey Nichols and Shane Haste, the last team to successfully defend the tag team titles. Since then, Everyone that has walked in as champion has lost the title.
So I was thinking about the World Tag League, and then I was thinking about Wrestle Kingdom. And then I realized the Bucks lost it to Naito and Hiromu. Naito and Hiromu immediately lost it. You know what I mean? Like it flip-flopped over and over and over. And then they got put on ice, and then it was just like that. There you go.
Yeah. June of 2024, the last time, the last reign began that involved a successful title defense. So TMDK won it in June of 2024. They defended the titles once. Now, going back further, Bishamon had one successful title defense, and they were in a different reign. The most recent Bishamon one had one single successful title defense. That was it for that reign. They were also the most recent team to have more than one. So their reign before that, they had two title defenses. And Jeremy, what do you think was the last team to have more than two successful title defenses? If you get this one, I don't even know what to think. I will be amazed. This is the very tough one. The last team that actually made it to three or more title defenses.
FTR?
Nope.
Who was it?
War Machine in 2017.
Okay.
That was the last time any tag team has actually made three defenses of the IWGP Heavyweight Tag Team titles. And we talk on this show a lot about how the trios titles bounce around, the junior tag titles bouncing around. They got nothing on the heavyweight tag team titles. We need to pay more attention to that. So
this is a promotion that's always been predicated on single titles.
Yeah. But I mean, that's incredible right there. That it has been what? Well, that was 17, so 8 years since anybody had a third title defense successful.
Yeah, if FTR actually done more dates, they would have, but I feel like they may have had like one title defense before they dropped them. Because they did the Royal Quest, and I was like, oh yeah, they got that. And I thought they had two or three, so interesting.
Yeah, a lot of ones and twos in that list. A lot of ones and twos. All right.
I guess people just like the prestige of saying they're the title holder rather than actually holding the title for any period of time.
After that, we had the 8-man tag, and it was Daiki Nagai, Hiroshi Tanahashi, Hiromu Takahashi, pardon me. Daiki Nagai, Hiromu, Shingo, and Yoda. So it's the unaffiliated crew against the War Dogs, Finlay, Kid, Geto, and Ishimori. And the leg lock that Hiromu's using now, it's called Maximum the Holding. That's what's listed as the name of the hold, Maximum the Holding, which sounds like some sort of a DJ or a hip-hop artist, doesn't it? Maximum the Holding. But that's the name of his leg lock. And this was pretty good.
The Stallion, Maximum the Holding.
Yeah, Chance the Rapper, all that. Pretty good. Finlay and Tsuji were paired up quite a bit for this one, of course, as a preview. Plus, there was Kid and Shingo brawling all over the place afterwards. So these guys were at least trying to put in the work to get some steam on these feuds that don't really have any going forward right now, especially going into this one. We're like, well, Gabe Kidd and Shingo will be a good match, but you didn't really feel there was much heat on it. They did what they could to put a little steam on these matchups. They did, but Hiromu would of course go on to win the junior heavyweight title from the GHC junior heavyweight title. So Noah's junior heavyweight title the next night. He beat Yohei, and he's now the current champion. And it was a darn good match. It was fun to see Hiromu into it again, which he hasn't been lately.
Yeah, Hiromu seems like he's been a little revitalized because that Forbidden Door match with Kyle Fletcher. He's just kind of had a good run of, matches that are kind of enlightening his soul in a way. Like the best way I could describe Hiromu is that he's got a fire in his soul and he gets matches like this in a succession. And this whole thing is fine. I think my major disconnect is that in my mind, Shingo and Gabe Kidd isn't a war of words. Those are two guys that should just be beating on each other. And every time they revert to talking trash, instead it's just this doesn't feel authentic. These two would just go at it with each other. They're, you know what I mean? I don't know.
Brad mentions that imagine a tag team having an Okada level tag title run. And if they found a really good team, I don't think that's a bad idea. I just think that it would be a change of pace not to have them bounce around to establish a tag team as truly dominant. I don't think it would hurt the company at all to do that and put a little bit of prestige back on those tag belts. But
Who do you do it with, though?
That's what I'm saying. I don't think there's been a team like that. TMDK, I thought should have been in the Aussie Open is who it should have been, but the money got in the way of that. TMDK would have been in a different year, but by the time TMDK finally won, they were in decline, particularly Shane. And they just weren't the team they used to be. So it could have been TMDK if the timing were correct, but Nichols and Hayes were pretty much used up by the time they got those tag belts. But Aussie Open is the pick. They were the best team that's young and could have dominated, but they ended up getting picked up by AEW and they got more money. What can you say?
You'd have to find a unicorn. This is an inherently selfish business, and you make more money as a single star than an tag team star. So where do you find two like Okada level talents that are willing to potentially lose earnings if they don't have confidence enough that their mega power style tag team would be so much of a draw that the loss of money as a single star?
Well, I don't think he's necessarily saying you have to have Okada-like talent in the ring. He's saying a title reign that lasts 10, 11 defenses the way Okada's iconic title.
But what I'm saying is, like, halfway through that, like, you either have to lock up these people in a contract more than 1 year, or if they're having these levels of matches, somebody's going to come and snap them up. Like, it's just like, and they're going to say, hey, we'll make you a big star over here, and you break up the tag team, and then maybe one of the guys is left there, and then you try and recreate the magical. But it's just one of those, like,
I think it's just the thing
that I always find with tag
it's just a matter of putting the same team over a few times in a row is really what he's saying. Not talking about I think you got us distracted by the word Okada, but I mean, like a tag team title reign that actually lasts 10 defenses, whoever it is. Like,
I'm saying that because of the selfishness of this business, it's really hard to get a run like that on that level without being lured at the temptation of a singles run.
Well, the Yudo and Oscar, if they decide to really go hard with them, they're both homegrown, so there's not zero, less chance that they would leave. But
I hope that they give those guys the belt and nobody can take them off of them until Wrestle Kingdom in 2027. That would be ideal. Like, that would rebuild an entire. But that's what we're talking about here. Like, if that were to happen now, like, the blow off is after World Tag League next year.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you have these guys run through, win World Tag League this year. They dominate the entire year. Then you finally get a team next year at World Tag League to dethrone them. And that's the story that you do.
Yeah.
But, like, you have to commit right now. And if you're not committing right now, you're not going to get those 10, 11, 12 title defenses.
The thing is, too, like, we mentioned it before that maybe Naito's, before all the injuries just piled up to where he couldn't do much of anything, maybe Naito's best utility would have been as a tag team wrestler for a little while, take some of the pressure off of him and some of the bumps off of him. And I wonder if I don't think they're going to go through with it. But Taichi and Ishii, good use of those two as well, who can still do good singles matches, but as tag team wrestlers could really carry other people and other teams in that division. I think they could really have a lot of use there, but there's just not a lot of evidence that New Japan is interested in putting that much on the tag team division. They just haven't in a long time. And it's strange. It's unfortunate. Geto made his chops as a tag team wrestler. He and Jado were one of the great Japanese tag teams of their era right there, but it just doesn't seem that entire division doesn't seem to get a whole lot of traction.
I mean, you said it yourself. The last time they invested even like 3 defenses or 2 defenses was 2017.
Yeah, War Machine. Hell of a good team to do it with, by the way. That was War Machine in 2017 was a great tag team. They're so pretty good. After that, we had Master Wato, Togi Makabe, Toru Yano, and Yo face Desperado, Ryusuke Taguchi, Shota Umino, and Yuya Uemura. Boy, this is a lot of nothing for Shota and Yuya to be doing, but they're in the middle of these preview tags that don't really mean a whole heck of a lot, but it's the match itself had some decent energy with some suffering from mistiming. Wato ended up beating Taguchi with a roll-up. It was mostly a Desperado and Yo preview plus the 6-man tag team titles, which will be on the line this weekend, but I just kept looking at this and just thinking, man, like two of the people that are allegedly future of this company, and they are in an absolutely nothing match with no angle, no story, no nothing. A lot of missed opportunities for this company.
Yeah, I just keep going back to thinking that they're just trying to lay the groundwork of having Shota and Yuya developing this rapport with each other and just trying to create scenarios in which they're in matches with each other rather than doing anything of note in those matches. I think my general review of the show was it was nice. Like there wasn't anything like blow away or wild or anything like that. And this is just, I just don't have much to say about it. It's just there.
It feels like Shota and Yuya are headed for World Tag League together, probably, right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. Like you got. I could probably list off 4 or 5 teams like right now that they can do.
And I fantasy booked that whole idea of something interesting happening and Shota turning on Yuya and it becoming this big feud and everything. But again, I feel like I'm waiting for a bus that's not coming with this stuff. So. All right. After that, we had another 10-man tag. Why not? We haven't had enough people on this card. So we have the House of Torture. This is Doki, Ren Narita, Sanada, Sho, and Yujiro Takahashi against TMDK. This is Hartley Jackson, Kosei Fujita, Robbie Eagles back. I haven't seen Robbie in a while. Ryohei Oiwa and Zack Sabre Jr. And, the thing is with this one, Narita and Zack had the same work to do that Shingo and Kid had, the same work to do that Finley and Tsuji had. They have to show some intensity to try to build some interest and steam for that title match. And that's what we're going to be seeing throughout this tour. They did show a little bit of intensity. Zack played like he was particularly upset with Narita and wanted a piece of him. It won't hurt. It won't make it a classic either, but House of Torture ended up hitting Jackson with every object they had in their corner, all of them. The pipe, the pimp cane, the whole thing. And then Sanada ended up winning with the moonsault. There was a post-match brawl afterwards. Again, we're just trying to put a little bit of heat on that world title match coming up.
The whole thing just kind of underscored, and I hate to say this to anyone who's really looking forward to that show, but to me, the show just feels so lame duck with the King of Pro Wrestling on October 13th. That's the show that like you're circling, right? And so all of these other matches that are on there, like if Shingo beats Gabe, right? Like it just feels like such a flat ending to the Gabe Kid kind of run with the title and everything that we got there. But if he doesn't, it's feeling a little like, when is Gabe Kid going to give his full attention to New Japan for the rest of his contract, or is he just looking and waiting for AEW? So you're conflicted there. The Finley match, I'm not feeling it with the Ren Narita and Zack Sabre Jr. match. I'm not really feeling that one.
Yeah.
I'm looking at all the matches that Zack Sabre Jr. is booking out for November and all these different promotions, and I'm just like, you're just telling us what's happening here. I know that you're promoting all these different matches that he's doing, but there's so much of read between the lines and you'll figure out where this is all going that I am waiting for the twist. And, it's interesting. Shota in his diaries on the New Japan fan club is talking about how he beat Takeshita and he beat Zack Sabre Jr. in the G1. Like, where does he fit in on all this? And I'm like, bro, might not be the time, but I get where you're going with this. And so where's the twist? What's the moment that's just like, oh, this got interesting? Like, you know what I mean? And I'm not exactly seeing where that moment is where it's like, oh, now this just got interesting. And I'm waiting for that. And it's okay if that doesn't happen. There's a lot of irons in the fire for Wrestle Kingdom, but it just seems kind of mechanical. It seems kind of mechanical with Tanahashi and, like Naito announced all of his dates, and we mentioned that You know, somebody mentioned something about like the 24th, and curiously, Naito has no dates for the 24th and his run in Europe on the 20th and on the 28th and all that stuff. So if you wanted to think that Naito might show up at some point in the next couple weeks, that battle line in Hokkaido on the 24th, it could happen. But even then, it feels like the predictable thing if that were to happen. Like, it doesn't feel like, oh my gosh, Naito's back. You know what I mean? Like, yeah. I think a lot of people are just kind of expecting Naito back sooner rather than later.
And Brad mentions off of this one, Hartley Jackson's such a delightful wrestler to watch. Something about his work that just makes me smile a lot. I like Hartley a lot as well. And we brought it up during the G1 tour of how well he was working with the Young Lions and how he was an expert at selling for them and making it look like they were just about to get that upset, that monumental upset, before he would cut him off and beat him. Or, you know, he takes the falls and protects the rest of TMDK. He plays a lot of instruments in New Japan's orchestra right now. And I really like what he does. And a nice guy too. I ran into him during Wrestle Kingdom weekend when he was doing meet and greets at the All Japan show, because he worked for everybody. That week he was on just about every show. He saw Hartley all over the place, and it seems like a cool hang. So nothing but good things to say about Hartley Jackson for me.
I want to give him a shout out too. He had a very heartfelt backstage eulogy for that All Japan Pro Wrestler Young Lion.
Well, he knew him better than most of the people in New Japan.
He did.
He does work for everybody. Yeah, he does work for everybody. So that's one. Yeah.
But I had a lot of respect for the way that what he said and the way he carried himself when he was saying those words. Yeah.
After that, we had a main event, which was our promoter here, Yuji Nagata, facing Hiroshi Tanahashi. 18 minutes and 11 seconds, which is twice as long as this thing should have gone. There was a long figure 4 spot, which was smart because it had both of them kind of laying on the mat, which is probably where both of them excel right now. And, we know that Tanahashi's body is just absolutely shot. He really can't do things anymore. Nagata had been hanging in longer than most, but he's showing a lot of signs of creakiness. He's a little stiff, and I don't mean hitting hard, but he's just, his joints don't move the way they used to and things. So this was a rough watch in a lot of ways. The forearm exchange in this match was particularly weak from Tanahashi. Those things look like they wouldn't have hurt a middle school kid. Nagata laid a couple of them in, but that was bad. Nagata tried a backdrop twice, and it just failed. They just couldn't get him up. I know at one point, one of them was Tanahashi supposed to be twisting his body to land on top of Nagata. Mm-hmm. So he's supposed to go for that backdrop suplex. I'm not talking about the backdrop like where you send a guy into the ropes and all that, but the backdrop suplex. And he grabs him, Tanahashi, around the waist, picks him up. Tanahashi is supposed to twist his body and theoretically, in wrestling logic, shift his weight, and he lands on top of Nagata. They blew the spot twice. The one time he landed right on Nagata's face and busted his face open. Tanahashi can no longer do the sling blade. He just kind of jumps to the side of the guy and then finishes the twist on the mat, still holding the guy by the chin and pulling him down. It's sad. It just looks sad. And a lot of this match looked pretty sad. In the end, it was an aces high that he didn't get any lift off of, and he came up short on Nagata. Nagata had to lean down and catch him like he was a ground ball coming at him, like he was a baseball pitch or baseball hit. I mean, he was trying to field a ground ball. High fly flow mercifully ended it. I can't talk today. High fly flow mercifully ended this match. It was not good. And, Jeremy, I understand. For the same reasons that when John Cena retires, you have to make the whole year around John Cena. I get it. That's not the story WWE wants to tell this year, but it's a story they're stuck with. Tanahashi making himself the focal point when he's long past the ability to wrestle anymore is really hurting the enjoyment of these shows. It's sad. He can't work anymore. I know it's Hiroshi Tanahashi. I know he's one of the all-time greats, but for the love of God, these are bad matches. And to put him in the main event like this, you got to do it with Nagata. Mm-hmm. He's showing up everywhere. He's the main If you look at the poster for King of Pro Wrestling, you got Konosuke Takeshita, the G1 winner, challenging the World Heavyweight Champion. And he's one of the guys there. And he's in the middle. He's in the middle. The rest of the guys are little on the sides, but who's big in front and on top? Hiroshi Tanahashi, so that he can do a bad match in the middle of it. And January 4th can't come quite fast enough for me for a couple of reasons. And one of them is maybe he needs to get out of the ring and focus on fixing this company, because this stuff's rough. This was rough.
I had pretty low expectations, and admittedly, they met my expectations. But the silver lining here, and I don't have really anything to add for the match, it was pretty much exactly what I thought it was going to be. And I called it almost a victory lap preview, where they were just going to do all their things and try and get all like their shit in and maybe go a bit longer than it needed to be. But they're gonna try and do it one last time. Was what it was. Crowd was into it. Wasn't for me, but it met my expectations. The silver lining here, Steven, I can't think of any more main events that Tanahashi has in his career other than Wrestle Kingdom.
Yeah, unless something else happens in there and they throw something else in. I could see him doing a kinship match.
But it won't be a main event. Like,
well, one of them's about to be. Actually, it's not even the last one on this tour. He's in the main event coming up again.
Oh, that's right. But he's not going to be in that many more. Like, you know what I'm saying, though? Just like these big shows, he is going to be at the bottom of the card. If he's on a main event, it's on a road too. And like, it's fine because like
a lot of shows between now and then.
He's just trying to check off the boxes of the roster. I get it. Like, you're right. January 4th. It would be better if he were focused on the office portion rather than getting it all in one last time. But I get it. Like, it's just one of those, like, I get it. And I'm trying to find the silver linings here because I'm also empathetic to your frustration about Tanahashi.
All right. So that was Blue Justice. Now, they have done a couple more shows. They were in Shizuoka and Saitama since then, not on NJPW World, strictly house shows, preview tags. If you look at the results, you'll see that each match, for the most part, had somebody that was designated to take the fall, either a young lion or a Takamichi Noka or a Geto. So no surprises. In the main event of those two, it was Zack Sabre Jr. beating Yujiro Takahashi. So there you go. It was what you would think. But we have a weird show coming up tomorrow at Korakuen Hall. They're in Korakuen Hall for 2 nights. One of them is going to be a pay-per-view, and one of them will be on NJPW World. So let's get into this one. This is Shinichi Champion. And Shinichi Champion is a talk show, variety show that airs on NJPW World. And it is celebrating its 5th year anniversary. It is hosted by Sumugi Mitami. And she does a good job hosting it. Again, it's not translated into English. It's not subtitled. So I don't really have a good idea of what they're saying on this show, but she seems like an engaging host. It's the 5th year anniversary. And so most of the matches on this show essentially come from discussions that have taken place on Shinichi Champion. And now they're being turned into matches. So let's go through. We're going to start with the main event on this thing. Yeah, there you see like Yo, Tenzan, and there they are. Those are your hosts. So after that, the main event of this one is called a Generation Crash, not Clash, Crash. That might be a translation issue with pronunciation, but it's a Generation Crash. So you have what are perceived to be the older members of Hantai and TMDK on one side versus the younger members on the other. Zack Sabre Jr., World Heavyweight Champion, teaming with World Tag Team Champions Ishii and Taichi, along with Ryusuke Taguchi. On the other side, you have Umino and Uemura, Oiwa, and Kosei Fujita. So allegedly this generation that will someday, hopefully before we all die of old age, actually be pushed against the current champions on the other side. So that's the Generation Crash.
Okay. I got nothing to add to this. I think this entire show is bizarre. It's going to be completely in Japanese. It's $21.99. I am going to enjoy recapping it without watching it and finding out everything that happened on explanation, because I'm just not sure I have the resources for this one in me at this exact time.
So the next match, yeah, I understand. The next match, I'm going to get some help.
This is amazing. This is amazing.
NJPW 1972 on this one, because here it is. A popular recurring segment on Shinichi Champion has host Samugi Mitami, commentator Miki Motoi, we see her a lot, and guests that had included Peter and Miho Abe debate the handsome merits of various wrestlers in the NJPW roster, Jeremy. So I'm going to talk about this
This
because
is the best part right here. I can't wait for it.
here's the line. This Rumble has 4 dreamboats and also Show competing.
To determine who's the handsomest.
4 of the best looking guys in the company and Show competing in this one. So
Show's actually a handsome man. So like, it's funny that they just throw so much shade at him.
So apparently Miho Abe, Peter, Matoi, and it was a Sumagi. They like El Phantasmo, Hiromu Takahashi, Yo, Masatori Yasuda, which is a bit of an upset, I would say, in there against Show. So those are the guys in the handsome match, the battle of the hunks.
You know, I could see a storyline thing where Show actually insisted that he would not be called a dreamboat in the description, and that he was just called Show because he's part of House of Torture and he's not part of any of that. I could see them doing something like that and explaining like he didn't want to be called a dreamboat, so they just had to call him Show and also Show. But the way it came off in text is hilarious.
So after that, the next match doesn't really have any story to it, but they just got to fill out the card. It's a 5-match card, so not a lot to it. Wato, Desperado, Bolton, and Tanahashi facing House of Torture, because goodness forbid we go without having House of Torture antics. Evil, Kanemaru, Togo, and Arita. Then we have an interesting one. This is a masked battle royal. Now, we don't know who the participants are by design. Here's the rules. Here are the rules. In this bout, a mystery group of participants will all start the match masked. When a wrestler is unmasked, they are eliminated until one mystery man remains. I have a feeling there's not going to be a lot of mystery behind these men.
I do like the gimmick. You know, it's like once you're unmasked, you're eliminated. So they're and then then I have to go. So I think it'd be pretty easy to tell who they are underneath the mask once they're actually in the ring. Like, let's be honest, people, some of these body types are pretty identifiable.
You know, it always drove me nuts that in the days before Taro Okada, the Stardom would have a Rambo at the beginning of their shows. That would be the 0 hour match, the pre-show match, whatever it was. And there were the machines would come out, and the machines. That was the only time you'd ever see them, and they were always in these rumbles. And it was always just after Lady C, Yuna Mizumori, and Saya Ida were eliminated from the match. Then suddenly we'd see these machines. It was such a coincidence. I could never figure out who the machines were, though, Jeremy. That's the thing. It was I could never quite pick up on who that was. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe it'll have the same mystery. I'll be just as confused as I was.
Be there. I hope that we won't be able to tell it's Great O'Con when the Great O'Con is out there.
Well, you know, they're pretty distinctive. After that, we have, before that, actually, I'm going backwards. So the opener of this one is Yoshihashi, Yuji Nagata, and Murashima teaming up with Makabe and Yano. So the most violent players are actually going to reunite for this show. The MVPs, the most violent players, Makabe and Yano, teaming up with Shoma Kato. So that's just kind of to set the tone for the generation crash. So you have a Young Lion teaming with the vets.
You know what the selling point of this match is?
What's that?
Satoshi Kojima and Tomoaki Honma are your play-by-play and color commentator.
Oh, Honma. Honma might be announcer of the year. You never know. He could do it.
They literally say, will anyone understand a word that Honma says? We're going to find
out. I guess we'll find out together.
Yikes.
All right. Now, that's like I said, the pay-per-view there. So this is part of the variety show. So it's going to be a fun thing, kind of lighthearted. And then what we will see on NJPW World for no extra charge is the show Saturday on NJPW World from Korakuen Hall. So this is mostly preview tags, but you do have the never open weight 6-man tag team titles on the line in the main event. That'll be Wato, Yo, and Yano. It's their first title defense against Taguchi, Desperado, and Tanahashi in the main event. So this can go either way because, of course, these titles bounce around a lot, like we've mentioned many times. There is a match Monday, September 15th in Hokkaido with the same Tanahashi team in the main event. which gives you a little bit of an idea where it might be going. Maybe Tana gets one last run with a belt, but Yo and Desperado could also do a finish that helps move along their junior heavyweight title match. There's a lot you can do here. And
Tanahashi and Wado have their match too, right?
Yeah, so there's a lot of things coming up. But the reason I bring that up is Monday, September 15th, is in Hokkaido at here's a building name for you, Jeremy. You ready? The Nippon Engineering College of Hokkaido Gym. That's where the show's going to be. I know you're a big fan of the Nippon Engineering College of Hokkaido football team, so I wanted to bring that up. But there's
I don't even know the acronym, and I was trying so quickly.
The NEC, anything?
The Nets. I'm neck and neck with the Nets.
It's a weird kinship labeled main event. So it's Great Bash Heel, the full team. So you have Honma, Makabe, and Yano. So the old GBH back before the days of chaos. Teaming up again against Tanahashi, Taguchi, and Despe. So, Jeremy, not only is Tanahashi still in the main events, he's in the next two that we have. Although, thankfully, they're
arguing like singles matches in the main event where he's got to hold it on his own. But I get what you're saying, and I'll dial it back. I'll dial back that rhetoric.
Other than that, these two shows are going to be mostly preview tags. And although there is a Noribetsu Rambo in Hokkaido, no idea what that means. But it's
like a Rambo in Hokkaido.
Also, the match that I mentioned there, the kinship match between Great Bash Heel and Taguchi, Desperado, and Tanahashi. I'd imagine the belts are on the line if Tanahashi, Despe, and Taguchi win them, but that's not said here. It is no time limit, dear Lord, and it is a trio tag singles 2 out of 3 falls. So that's what it's labeled: trio / tag / singles. So I guess they either add or delete a person from each side as the falls go by. So I think it starts as a trios match, and then after the first fall, there is a tag team match. So one guy on each side has to go out, and then if it goes to a third fall, gee, I wonder, it ends with a singles match. So we might actually get a Tanahashi singles match at the end of this one. Who knows?
That's really stupidly complicated, and it doesn't make any sense.
Okay. Yeah, no. I have nothing to add to that analysis. So yeah, there you go. And we'll have Young Lion matches in the beginning and all that stuff. So, but these are multi-man tags all the way through the rest of those cards. So that's what we're in for this week. Be still my beating heart.
Well, do we have any fun comics for the Peanut Gallery?
No, I think we're mostly caught up there. Oh, Brad does mention one thing. I'll mention this, Brad. He said, thankfully, men's pro wrestling in Japan does not do the same thing that Joshi wrestling does when someone retires or leaves, and that's have the gauntlet match. Yeah, exactly. So in Joshi wrestling, when someone does leave, like you mentioned, they will have a match where they have 1 minute matches against basically the entire roster. And so they match with each person, their allies, their enemies, the whole thing, 1 minute, and the next person comes up, and it gets to be like a marathon match. I cannot fathom Tanahashi trying to do something like that. Thankfully, that's not in men's pro wrestling, just something that the women do. But and then there's the big speech at the end and all that stuff. So no, thanks. I don't think we need any of that. But that was the only other comment we had right there. Pretty basic week, wasn't it? And not particularly newsworthy, but we will see as the road to destruction continues how these matches for the big show in Kobe are heated up. Are they able to get a little steam on some of these? Can they heat up some of these matchups? We'll find out in the next week.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm still feeling like we're lame ducking until King of Pro Wrestling.
Yeah, it doesn't have a whole lot of juice behind it. I don't mean to be a downer through all this. I'm really not trying to be, but
I'm being honest. Like, we're watching this every week. We're in it, in the trenches, watching this stuff, and just from the vibe, like, none of this is hot. No. It's just a promotion that is trying to gear up for a big show of the year. And right now, they don't have the G1 winner. The guy that they're wrapping it around is actively just like wrapping up his career, and you can see it in the ring. And you have polite audiences that are showing up and enjoying the small thing. But the reality is the promotion isn't hot, and there's not a whole lot really right now that's going to reignite it if it's not like that's what I'm saying. Like I'm waiting for that like eyebrow raise or that moment or that like that catalyzing thing. It's hard, but I'm not going anywhere. You know what I mean? Like this is what journaling a promotion is. It's through the good and the bad and through everything, but it's not the best right now. And that's okay.
Yeah, and Brad mentioned the only news is Shibata finally saying what we all knew, that he wanted to be Tana's final match at Wrestle Kingdom, but he said he is in fact banned from NJPW. Yeah, I had a feeling that they weren't going to allow that one to happen. Or they did what they could, or what they were allowed to do at Dynasty last year. But keep in mind, Tanahashi, I have a feeling he could get that switched if he wanted to, but we'll see. Or maybe he could convince him to switch it if it came to that. But I think they have other plans for Kingdom.
If that wasn't the biggest open secret in wrestling, I don't know what is. I am thankful that we can put it to bed, though, for the people that did know and would just say it like, hey, he's just not allowed to wrestle there. Mm-hmm. Now we have, like, for the people that, like, says who, says what, says where. It's like Brad says, we have the official confirmation. If you were in the know, you knew. But for, like, the bad faithers, you officially have the guy saying, yeah, no, I can't work there. I'm not allowed. It's my own fault. I did that to myself.
Yeah. All right. So why don't you say we wrap this one up here?
Okay.
We're a little bit early, but I think that this week justifies it. And so when we come back next time, we'll tell you all about the wackiness of Shinichi Champions show. We will discuss 2 other shows that are part of the regular Road to Destruction as the Hokkaido tour begins. They will be spending most of the run up to Destruction in Hokkaido. Again, we mentioned it before, a little fan service to these areas that don't normally see shows the rest of the year. So the Hokkaido tour will be keeping an eye on it and see what they do to try to get some momentum for Destruction in Kobe on September 28th. So we'll be back here at our regular time next Thursday to talk about everything that's happened since.
I just want to say one last thing. We're like 180 something episodes of this show, and we've had a loyal following for this entire time. And just going into this new like quasi chapter that we do, nothing really changing, but it is kind of changing. I just wanted to thank everyone who listens and watches and has supported us throughout this time, because we love doing this, but it is also really hard work. So thank you. And you are a lot of the reason why we keep doing what we're doing.
Yeah, we definitely appreciate you all very much. And you very well said. We've gone through some iterations over the years. We've changed days. We've been on Tuesdays. We've been on Thursdays. We've done the special shows on the weekends and all that stuff. But we've also been recorded for a while and uploaded as a podcast only later. We've been through a couple of different versions before we settle on this every Thursday live interacting with everybody. And it's just been one of the more rewarding things I've done. And
it's
a lot of it is that this interaction that we get to have with you guys. When we were doing it as a recorded podcast, it just didn't have that element of looking over and seeing the comments from you guys, and it did not have the same juice. And so this, I like this better. So Brad says, oh, thanks. So Brad says, love you guys. Thanks to the entertainment and info. We really appreciate you too. This has been it's the highlight of our week every week. Come in here and talk wrestling with you guys.
It's a nice break from life, I guess. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
for 90 minutes, 2 hours, whatever, like whatever else you got going on, just kind of don't worry about it. I'll get back to you. You'll have to deal with it in 2 hours, whatever. But for right now, we're just going to talk some wrestling. And I appreciate that. And, Steve and I didn't really know each other before the first episode of this show. No. And I really appreciate the friendship I've made with Steven throughout.
Yeah, it's very cool. And I'm glad too. So maybe someday we'll meet in person.
Who knows? We'll be like, we're that tall.
Yeah, we'll have to figure something out. Are you? There's a chance, right? You might be in Las Vegas for WrestleMania weekend again, right? Maybe.
It is not out of the question, but after Wrestle Kingdom, it will have to be put towards me as an opportunity from another website to help them out, rather than me actively making my plans to go. Because
Well, fair enough.
I'm spending some money here.
Well, yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I hear you. I've been thinking about the idea of going to WrestleMania weekend, not WrestleMania, but a lot of times all those other companies come and do shows, especially when they're in Las Vegas. And I'm thinking about going to the ancillary shows and things around Mania this next year, possibly because, Jeremy, with the news we've gotten the last couple of days, might be the last WrestleMania in the United States for a while. Might be the very last one. So who knows? I believe the Saudis have purchased it, and they might decide that they just want to get the full subscription instead of a 1-year deal. They seem to like
WrestleCon.
Yeah, that's a long trip now, isn't it?
Yeah.
I think they're going to have to switch to all-in weekend at the MGM Grand, I guess. So.
Oh man, they're going to love doing that. Hey Tony, can we piggyback on you now?
We'll have to see how all this plays out. It's a weird world we're living in, folks. But for now, we'll see how that turns out. But I am considering going out to Vegas for that. We'll see.
That might be the play then.
Wrestling tourism, man.
But yeah.
Wrestling tourism between Wrestle Kingdom week or Mania week. You can sometimes the best part of those. And well, I love going to Kingdom, and so I can't say that was the best part. But I love going to the other smaller shows, the All Japan show, the TJPW show, the Stardom show around Wrestle Kingdom week. That was a blast. And I think I'd like to have that experience at around a Mania weekend. And I have been to stadium shows before. I went to WrestleMania 8, which was in a football stadium, and you pretty much just watch it on the monitors, on the big screens. And that doesn't interest me very much in the football stadium in Vegas, but seeing some of the other promotions does.
It was fun to do the watch along in the hotel suite and watch the show, but the sound wasn't that great, and I was fine, but other people I couldn't hear it. But it was also significantly cheaper than trying to get like a nosebleed across the street at Allegiant. So I was satisfied with my viewing experience, and I also watched that show and thought, I'm really glad I didn't have to be there for that, because I think I got everything I needed out of watching that on a TV.
All right. Well, everybody, thank you very much. Whether you're joining us here live on YouTube, watching us later on YouTube, or listening to us as a podcast, we're grateful for your time. We know you have a lot of choices, and the fact that you spent some of your time that is always so valuable with us really makes us feel good. So for Jeremy Finestone, I'm Steven Conway. Thanks for listening to Speaking of Strong Style, and we'll talk to you again real soon.